Yo, what's up guys, we're back for chapter 62 of the Shiunji Family, and yeah, let's just hop straight into it. Essentially, this chapter just kind of wrapped up this whole confession trip arc, I would say. Off the last chapter, we are getting closure on what went down the previous night with Arata and Ouka. And yeah, that was kind of the whole focus on this chapter, plus some other minor details. But yeah, with the actual contents of the chapter, we just start off in the morning time. The girls are taking baths, whatever. Here we do get a little internal dialogue with Bonnery, and she's just thinking to herself like, oh, Seiha's being a little quiet right now. And basically she's just thinking, oh, she must also feel awkward about the situation. She went and basically confessed her love to Arata in front of everyone. But yeah, basically Bonnery is just wondering to herself, what is she gonna do with those other four girls? You know, she's kind of like the mother figure in the story. Like realistically, she's a guardian for all the other kids. She's the oldest, and their mom and dad are not really in the picture. They have like the maid, but throughout the series, she's been taking this big sister role. And that's part of the reason why she hasn't like openly confessed to Arata, or she has to him, right? But not to like the family. Or she hasn't talked about it like all the other girls are kind of competing with each other, and they just kind of think Bonnery's out of the mix, but she's not. So yeah, just kind of a weird situation. But yeah, right after this, we get Kotono and Seiha having a little back and forth with each other. You know, they're washing each other's bodies. Okay, never mind. Basically, Kotono goes up to Seiha and says, I know the feeling. Seiha is thinking, oh yeah, we have stiffer bodies than the other girls. But Kotono goes and says, no, that's not what I meant. At the beginning of the series, Kotono did confess her feelings towards Arata to the entire family. So basically in this moment, she is kind of empathizing with the way that Seiha is feeling right now, which I don't know if it's like regret. I think it's more of just, you know, embarrassment and just this feeling of awkward tension. But yeah, this was just like a little small moment, and whatever, their conversations just drifts off. After this, we cut straight to everyone leaving, right? You know, they're packing their bags, they're getting in the car, and Bonnery's like, oh, Arata, you should drive. You know, Bonnery is a little scared to drive. You know, she's not the most confident driver. I think she just got her license. Honestly, not too much is really happening here. It's just kind of like little banter back and forth. Arata saying, oh, he's underage and wanted me to commit a crime. Bonnery is just scared, trying to push it on to everyone because she doesn't really want to drive back. Maybe she's too tired. But yeah, this is where we start to get the actual kind of meat of the chapter. The more important stuff of what has been going down, right? Shion was also talking with Minami, you know, last night. And while this whole thing was going on, Arata was having his little fiasco with Ouka. Shion goes and brings this up. He's saying, oh, Shin, it looks like you were up late last night. Arata tries to like brush this off, and then he's saying, oh, I was sleeping with a new pillow, whatever. But we know what was happening. Ouka hopped in his like futon or whatever, right? So yeah, after this whole conversation dies down, Ouka appears, and she's like, oh, Kotono, you can go and sit next to Arata on the way back. And then here, Arata gets a little shocked, a little flustered, I don't really know. He's just feeling a whole bunch of different emotions. And why exactly? Well, this is where we get this flashback, right? Of what happened, what went down the night prior. Long story short, Ouka's like, we need the kiss right now. You know, she hops in the bed, she gets onto Arata and tries to like pressure him into like kissing her. And she's saying crazy stuff like, maybe we'll learn if we're just normal siblings or if we're love interests. Like, bro, I don't know, dude. Like, I really don't like the whole, you know, sibling aspect of this series. It is harem slot, but it doesn't have to be like, okay, whatever. But you guys get the idea. Basically, she's trying to force herself on Arata, trying to force this kiss to happen. Arata is like completely scared or flustered or confused. Just a whole bunch of different things are going on. But eventually he kind of pushes her off and says, we can't, not with those feelings. We should treasure it more. Like, honestly, this is a crazy line as well, saying we need to treasure it more. Like, does this mean that he has already fallen in love with Ouka? I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, all of the roads and the signs and signals have pointed towards Ouka being the winner of the series, right? Maybe this is like a bait and switch, but they've just had so much like development together, and it really looks like in this scenario, Arata is like, he's picking sides here. That's all I'll say. But yeah, after he goes and says this, Ouka goes and like off into her own little bed, and they just go to sleep. She goes and calls him a dummy. I don't know. I don't know what to say anymore, bro. This series is just kind of whack. If they weren't siblings, it would be great. Or they're not siblings, but like that's the preface of it. And it's just, I don't know, bro. It's so weird, so cooked, but it is what it is. But yeah, after she goes in, you know, huddles in her corner or whatever, we get like a full face shot of her and she's like super embarrassed, blushing. And yeah, that's kind of the end of that. We cut back to the morning and it's just of Arata just thinking to himself, right? He goes and says, Ouka, doing something like that? Did that matter of Seiha's stir up her feelings after all? The kiss isn't the issue here. The problem is the cause of the action. More than anything, it's evidence that Ouka is reaching her limit. It's just, dude, it's like, who says this, bro? Who says this type of stuff? Last thing he goes and says is, I really can't ignore this anymore. It's not just about Ouka. The next time someone does something, I have no clue what kind of misunderstanding will take place. I really can't just straight up deny their feelings. I have to settle this. And yeah, I mean, to me, what this arc kind of signified, this like little mini arc that we were on, it just showed us that Arata needs to make a decision quickly on what he's gonna do with all the girls' feelings. I don't know if the arc was really necessary. I mean, I guess to get Seiha's confession out of the way, because, you know, before this whole arc happened, it was Bonri's turn, right? And he was basically thinking the same exact way. You know, the first, like when Bonri went and actually confessed her feelings to him, he said similar things and he talked to Shion about it and he was like, I need to do something about this as soon as possible. And then they went on this trip, right? And I think this is kind of the, you know, the last bit of motivation he needs to go and do something about this whole situation before it gets too out of hand. And then yeah, the last few pages of a chapter, two of them, well, one of them's a double spread and then the other one is just a whole, you know, a whole page. Basically, they're saying, do I really become lovers with one of them or do I become lovers with none of them? I have to settle this. You know, going into the series, Arata's, you know, his outward thing that he's been saying is, I'm not going to get together with any of them. I'm treating them all as family. I don't want this dynamic to break. But yeah, I don't know. I think like deep down, he kind of has a little bit of feelings for Ouka. They kind of grew up together as almost, I mean, they grew up as siblings, but if you really look at like their dynamic together, it seemed more like childhood friends. I don't know if that makes it any better. Kind of, it's still weird, but he has the highest affinity towards Ouka right now in the series, and it's just she's had so many moments together with him. To be honest with you, when I first started reading this series, I was like, okay, yeah, it does have some hope, because it's like, if you forget that they're all siblings with each other, or, you know, they're family members, it seemed like another kind of love polygon where you didn't know who was gonna win. And that's why I really liked the Goddesses of Cafe Terrace, right? You really had no clue who was gonna win until the end. I don't really like the series where it's like, there is like one main interest and then we just have all these other characters that are just kind of getting in the way. Hopefully Shiunji Family isn't like that, but we'll see. We'll have to see. So far, it has kind of proved that to be the case. But yeah, last few pages of the chapter, basically, we cut back to the house. There's a little picture of their mom. It's not really too important, but the last page is very important, right? It is a close-up of like a newspaper, and it says, breaking news, Kaname Shiunji's 7 children were actually adopted. And then it shows pictures of the children together, and yeah, that's kind of where we leave off. Interesting chapter to say the least. I wasn't really expecting, you know, Ouka to go and be like, oh, you need to kiss me right now, we need to smooch, but that's what happened. And really, I mean, we're just getting so much of Ouka as main girl energy that I don't know how much hope I really have for the other girls in the series, or even this kind of thing going forward. Reiji's other work, it's not like this is anything new to him. Renta Girlfriend, if you've seen that, it should be called Chera Girlfriend, because that's what's happening right now. But yeah, that's really about it. If you guys have any thoughts and opinions on this, please let me know. And yeah, if you want to stay up to date, definitely subscribe and like this video so I know to keep doing them. And yeah, that's really about it, so I'll see y'all.